Greetings, salutations. Unfortunately for you, I'm back with another video. I got done with my rap pretty early today, so I figured I'd do one, uh, do a video. So, I'm playing around with the idea of doing like a solo play thing, um, for the channel. I haven't decided if I'll do it like live or if I'll simply do like recap videos. Um, But, anyways, I have two characters that are going to be essentially the main characters in this little sandboxy stage that we're going to set. And of course, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be using Forge, and I've got some other supplemental materials that I'll cover whenever I get ready to really kick this thing off. Waiting for a few of them to come in through the mail. One of them, though, I've had for a while, and I just haven't found really much of a use for it yet. But it is handy, especially when you're coming up with naming things and generating keeps, and that is, of course, the sandbox generator by because the name's on the front and it's in a font I can't read too well. Atelier Clandestine. Cool. Uh, but it is pretty nifty, and it, like I said, it has names and stuff like that, and it has its own dungeon and hex map generator too. So if I feel like there's a weakness here in Forge, I could just switch over to that. And shucks, uh, I'm even though I'm going to be playing classless, I'm going to be utilizing White Box Fantasy Medieval Adventure Game by Charlie Mason, and especially on random monster encounters, I'll probably be using this because and like things like jousting and stuff like that too. If I decide I'm going to go with that, and I may just end up using the white box initiative order because the initiative order, as explained in Forge, it's not really that different to begin with. So therefore, I'm just kind of already used to white box and the way that it does it. So I'll just go ahead and use that. No big deal. Um, but it also, like I said, it has a nifty little table. You know, the underworld wandering monster table um, that you can use, and so like I said, this Forge very easy to plug and play. That being said, I am going to try to run it classless. I haven't gotten these guys to spend all their money yet, and I want to, but I decided because it's a solo play, oftentimes you want to have at least another character in backup in case one of them dies. And so, who is our who are our characters that we're going to be playing? Well, the first one I created is Griff. Griff has a strength of 13, so he gets a +1, a dexterity of 10, a constitution score of 8, -1, an intelligence score of 8, -1, a wisdom of 12, and a charisma of 10. I chose the two. In Forge, there is advantage. If you're used to the advantage and disadvantage from 5e, it has that, which was something that I forgot to mention in my review. So, I mean, again, it's this neat little amalgamation. I'm really loving this book. Uh, but, anyways, I chose to use my high scores as my primaries because I didn't know what this character was going to be yet. Hadn't rolled up his occupations yet, but he's level 1. Uh, his primary scores, um, his primary attributes of strength and wisdom will both gain an additional +1. His secondary will have all the other scores will be a +0 with whatever penalties and bonuses that come with it. Because he doesn't have Constitution as a primary, he will be rolling a d6 for HP. And of course, he being fairly sickly because he's got an 8 in Constitution, he has a maximum HP right now of 1. and a current HP, of course, of 1 because he hasn't gone adventuring yet. No experience yet with a neutral alignment. Uh, his current inventory, his loadout is leather armor, longsword, empty sack, a whistle, a padlock and key, an empty wine skin or water skin, I should say, 2 rations, a crowbar, a lantern, and lantern oil. By the way, this has slot inventory, so that another cool thing. I've grown to really like slot inventory as an alternative. His physical appearance, he's a scrawny man. He has a bristly chin. The clothing he typically wears is very fitting. Like it like kind of a like it fits his form very well. His quirk is that he smiles a lot. He's very smiley. His former occupations before becoming an adventurer is he was a dealer and a burglar. And so thinking, we'll get to the second character because we're going to try to figure out based upon these random dice rolls how these two relate to each other as compadres, so to speak. Uh, his friend is Emilian. Uh, Emilian has a strength score of 6, so that's a -1 right off the bat. Um, and he will not be carrying as much equipment as Griff. He has a dexterity of 9. He has a constitution score of +1 14, so a +1, which is also a primary that I chose for him. An intelligence score of 10, a wisdom score of 12, and a charisma score of 17 with a +2. And I made that his primary. And it's very funny because I rolled the occupations last, and you're going to find it very fitting. Course level 1, primary. His primary is getting an additional +1. His secondary's nothing yet. That'll go up as as these guys level up if they live long enough. Because Constitution is a primary for him, he gets to roll a d8, and he got pretty good score of 5. So +1 Constitution, so 6. Current HP, of course, is 6. XP is 0, and his alignment is neutral. His current loadout, he gets 9 inventory slots. You're probably wondering why Griff, even though I only listed off 11 items, but he's got 12 slots, is because his longsword takes up 2 slots. I gave him a longsword before I rolled his HP because I forgot to roll his HP, but I decided I'm going to roll with it. But to make up for it, Emilian will be his backup. But Emilian has leather armor. He also came with a helmet, a shield. He has a hand crossbow. Make up for it. 2 days rations, a net, a saw, and a horn. His physical appearance is he is short. The notable detail is that he is bald, and the clothing that he wears is very embroidered. And his quirk is he hugs. This is all very fitting because his 2 occupations is that he was a monk and a preacher. And I have to think to myself, how many preachers have I met that really love to hug? This dude has a high charisma score. He hugs a lot. He wears very nice clothing. So I was like, man, that is very fitting. He is 110% a preacher if I ever met one in my life. But he's neutral, a neutral alignment. So trying to think of justification for that. I also forgot to write down his AC of 13. But trying to think of justification for that. Um, well, as a Calvinist, like many Christians, we believe in the doctrine of original sin. And so we really truly believe that no man, woman, or child is born good. We're all born into sin. Um, so that doctrine could be similar to what he might actually believe. Maybe he just kind of has this outlook on life about himself and other people, really. Uh, that being said, he does hug a lot, so he hugs people. I will never get past that. Uh, Random rolls are fun sometimes, but why are these two? Why is a former dealer and burglar companion with a former monk and preacher? The justification that I could see in some ways is perhaps maybe Emilian himself might not necessarily be on the. Notice I said former, because your occupations are assumed to be your former occupations, something you did before becoming an adventurer. And Emilian, he does not have a holy symbol at all. Perhaps he is defrocked, or possibly even corrupt, or perhaps it's even a front. How many I couldn't tell you how many lone wolf preachers I've met in my life that never really actually believed any form of Christian doctrine. It was just something that they thought they could fleece people out of their money with. So perhaps these two are not on the up and up. Perhaps they're kind of um, partners in crime, so to speak. That being said, when they do things outside of adventuring, somebody's car alarm is going off and is driving me nuts, and that's why the dog has been barking. This car alarm, finally they turn it off. Anyways, the purpose of their occupations is if during some downtime, or perhaps even during adventure, um, if they are making a skill check of some kind that might have something to do with their former occupations, they roll with advantage. It does now. You probably think, well, wait a minute. If Griff is a former burglar and a former dealer, um, and his dex score doesn't even have a +1, nor is it his primary, what's it matter? Well, you could simply, okay, let's say that Griff went out to try to burgle somebody in the middle of the night. We'll just say that. And like using flat dexterity check, of course, wouldn't work. But like where he has advantage, if he was doing a break in, okay, a 15 and a 6, so we take the 15. There you go. See how this works? Now let's say now Griff is also somebody who's dealt with stuff. Now, possible former weapons dealer. Like I kind of want these guys to be kind of like seedy underbelly guys because I love playing scumbags. But let's just say, okay, let's just say he found this weapon in a dungeon. He's trying to sell it. He's trying to pass it off as something magical, probably worth more than what it really is. It's just a normal short sword, but he's going to hype this thing up and perhaps even take it to get like some etchings placed into the blade to make it look more important, better craftsmanship. Try to fool somebody who's not like a blacksmith, for example. So let's say he's trying to make a little side money, trying to fleece people. A 15 and a 9, so we take the 15, and he would have passed that as well. He would have passed that off unless the other person was like a blacksmith, in which case we would try to make like a competition roll. But let's say Emilian is also trying to come up with an idea of like, we need more money. This man is we're going to pretend Griff is sick. We're going to disguise him as like a sick man. We're going to pretend he's a leper or something, you know. So we he's going to try to convince people. We rolled a 19 and a 12, so we're going to obviously take the 19 plus the charisma score of +2, so that's a 21. So that definitely passed. Like he would fool a lot of people. Now Monk is not like a not like a Catholic monk. Uh, it's more like kind of like the fighting monk kind of thing. Out in the like the Shaolin. Perhaps he knows a little bit about the tradition because Lord knows he definitely didn't get stronger with that -1. But let's say he knows a bit about their traditions, and as a preacher, he would try to like tap into that. So let's say he's trying to relay some kind of lore that has to do with like monk martial arts kind of traditional belief. And with advantage, he rolls a 15 and a 6. Like he's almost guaranteed to pass. So because 15 is kind of like the baseline of a lot of stuff in Forge, uh, with a few exceptions. Sometimes it's like competing roles. I brought that up before, and sometimes, let's say he's trying to defend against a spell, for example. Now Griff would definitely Griff is definitely going to have a harder time, but okay, let's say Griff is trying to. We'll just say the score of the wizard is a let's say this is like a level 3 wizard with a primary in intelligence, meaning at this point it's an additional +2 +1, so a 3, so 13. Like that's not very well. He rolled a nat 20 on that one, so there you go. But point being, like Griff could conceivably fail, he still has a chance for success. It becomes harder at higher levels because you continue to gain additional bonuses in your primary and secondary checks. So if that competing wizard was say like a level 10, that's a +5 plus like just the one, so that's a 16 that he would have to try to beat with his. So let's say high level wizard trying to beat it, and nope, he didn't. He rolled a 15, which makes it a 14. He needed a 16 or better. So just as an explanation of that mechanic. But with all that being said, that's so far as the stage. I haven't set nothing up for like the starting town or nothing like that, or even like the first adventure yet. Like I said, I got a couple of supplements I found for dirt cheap that I'm going to utilize as time goes on. But yeah, so far the supplements that I've got for Forge is the Sandbox Generator and White Box Fantasy Medieval Adventure Game. This especially because it's really good at like coming up with keeps on the fly and naming things on the fly too. So like I do recommend this, and maybe I will review this one day. Um, I just kind of assumed everybody had it, and I found out that I was wrong. not a lot, not a lot of people had it, so I thought it was much more widespread than what it was. Then I looked it up, and it turns out not a lot of people were actually using it, and I thought that was weird. Probably because a lot of them didn't realize it existed. But it is what it is. Anyways, as always, guys, take care. God bless. See you on the other side. Thank you for tuning in today.